Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Park right here again. I'm your friendly host, Tom Cosentino. Katrina is having some internet problems, and I'll just hopefully she'll be able to join us as soon as possible. But today I got a real special guest. This is John. John's with the VA. About 2 months ago, I went to a Parkinson's Expo, and he was there representing the VA. And what was really cool is him and I had a conversation, and I actually have a pending action against the VA for my Parkinson's that may be a result of the U.S. Army. But John can offer, especially if you're a veteran, John can offer so much insight to the process and what how everything works, and hopefully, make sure that our veterans are being taken care of. So, John, I'm going to just throw this to you for a moment.
All right. Just as Tom said, if you're a veteran, you're faithfully served and raised your right hand, um, especially on the VA healthcare side. If you prior to 1980, if you served one day active duty separate from basic training in AIT, you're eligible to enroll into the VA healthcare system. After 1980, if you did 24 consecutive months
That's correct.
separate from basic training in AIT, you're eligible to enroll. Or if you're a National Guard and Reserve and you were injured on either your drill weekend or during your 2 week annual training, and you have a line of duty or a medical documentation stating that you were injured, and you don't have the 24 consecutive months to qualify as what we call a veteran, then you can also, once you get a disability rating, you can apply for VA healthcare. Um, and join the VA healthcare system. If you were previously deployed under the new PACT Act, of 2022. If you have served at least one deployment, you automatically qualify for VA healthcare for at least up to 10 years from the date of your deployment. So, good things there. Also, on the disability claim side, if you ever incurred an injury or disease as a result while serving on active duty, even while even while off duty, if you're because even if you're off duty, you're still considered on active duty. So if you're involved in a vehicle accident or an off duty accident and you were injured, you can also claim a disability for that. That's any injury or disease that occurred on active duty. And the mindset that you're taking it away from another deserving veteran is false. You raised your right hand, you served faithfully
Mhm.
for 2 to 4 years. Some individuals were drafted and didn't have the choice. So you're not taking it away. It is something that you earned. So fully take advantage of it. I always like to say, especially on the VA healthcare side, use it as much as or little as you choose, in addition to any other health insurance you have. Um, it is not health insurance; it is health care. So use it for your VA rated disabilities, and you can also, if you're over 50% disability rating, you can utilize it for anything else other than your VA injuries or diseases. So it's a great opportunity out there for those veterans that raised their right hand and earned it. Use it in It is something that is there for you. Use it in conjunction to help yourself offset medical costs out there now or in the future. As we age, unfortunately, medical costs go up. We go on Medicare. A lot of veterans lose their civilian health insurance plan, or it
Mhm.
becomes outrageous. So the VA healthcare system just becomes another option that you have under your belt for you when you unfortunately get into the retirement age and, as we say, graciously become older in life. So.
Well, what's interesting is first I got to show you this. This is me. I'm the guy. I don't know how well you can see it. I'm the guy in the burlap suit being attacked by the dog.
Ah,
I was
yes.
I loved it. That was like, I gotta admit, that was the best time of my life. I was 19. I was working with German Shepherds. I spent a year in Korea with the dogs, providing security on a Hawk missile site, and just working with those dogs was incredible. But it was interesting is I'm been diagnosed almost 9 years ago. It'll be 9 years in August. In 1977, I was in Fort McClellan, Alabama, for basic and AIT. I spent about 4 months there. Now, 2015 is when I started showing symptoms of Parkinson's. And I'm not quite sure how I got there, but I got associated with a law firm that represents veterans. And we have a suit against the VA, which was interesting because the wheels of bureaucracy move very slowly. Is that an understatement or is that an overstatement?
Well, that's a true statement. Unfortunately, the whereas the bureaucracy do move slowly, especially on the VA disability claim side. Um, it unfortunately is the overwhelming medical evidence that has been gathered that finally the Veterans Benefit Administration and Veterans Health Administration says yes, these conditions, more likely than unlikely, the significant evidence points to that they were exposed during their service, and that either disability compensation or medical care should be provided for these conditions. So yeah, unfortunately, the wheels move slowly. It moves slowly for the Vietnam veterans. A lot of those struggled for many years on their disability claims until they became presumptives. Once something once something finally becomes a presumptive, then it gets a little bit easier for that veteran. All they have to do is prove that they were in that location and they have that presumptive disease. So once it becomes a presumptive, it gets a little bit easier. They only have to prove they were in that location and during that time frame and have it
Yeah.
medically.
Well, I know 5 years ago we initiated a claim, and basically said I was served in the military. I served at Fort McClellan. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and as a result of that, I suffer from depression. And so, 5 years after that, I told them all that. They finally they conceded all those facts, which was kind of interesting because I told them that 5 years ago. But so I recently had a CNP, two CNP exams, and I'm sort of at this point waiting to see if they make that connection between my Parkinson's and my 4 months at Fort McClellan. Now, personally, I don't know if there's a relationship or not, but then again, I'm not a doctor. But, that was 40 some years ago and it was only 4 months. So, but at the end of the day, I'm figuring if they find in my favor, that's going to be good for other veterans as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, you do help the overwhelming medical evidence as far as documented that yes, um, the evidence is there, and depends on how VBA rules on it. Let's hope it goes uh, in your direction. Even if it doesn't, it could help the future veteran
Oh,
uh,
absolutely.
down the road that makes that medical connection or that diagnosis or that yes, the overwhelming evidence is there, and this is a continued pattern. So same thing with the burn pits, Agent Orange. It was the overwhelming medical evidence that yes, they were exposed, and this was an unsafe, unfortunately, an unsafe either chemical compound, environmental exposure. Um, Burn pits is a prime example, especially for post 9/11 veterans with asthma, COPD, and other lung related
You can
issues.
imagine.
Yeah.
So you made reference to the PACT Act. Can you go into a little detail on what that is?
So the PACT Act actually expanded in 2022, expanded the uh, list of presumptives. For Agent Orange, it listed it two. It was the blood disorder disease and hypertension. So Vietnam veterans, it listed two presumptives. For post 9/11 or Gulf War veterans, the burn pit registry, it updated those as lung conditions, lung cancers, uh, throat cancer. Um,
John, I think we're having a little technical difficulty.
asthma, COPD, basically as a presumptive. All they had to do was prove that they were in country at the time
Okay.
and served in
And
it.
I guess,
And that just doesn't go just for in country on ground. It now also includes airspace above Southwest Asia, Cambodia, Taiwan, and other.
I seem to be having some difficulties. You're
Yeah,
freezing up. I don't know if it's on my
frozen.
side or your side,
Yeah,
but don't go anywhere, folks. If we do have a little freeze, we're coming back. We're
yeah.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger. We'll be back. Um, So that's the key right now is they've found certain conditions with veterans, a presumption that means if you have that disease and you were in that area, it's like an automatic win.
Yep, it's an automatic win. All you have to prove is that you have that medical condition. It's medically stated either with the VA or with an outside physician, and then evidence that you were in that location that is now a presumptive location. So either Southwest Asia, Cambodia, Laos, Taiwan, any of Southwest Asia, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Afghanistan. Yeah. And it might not be of vital importance to you now, but definitely later in life, when the unfortunate time comes from that you start looking into the unfortunate, either assisted living, nursing
Yeah.
homes, something like that. If you have a disability rating, then it can tremendously help you in the assets that you diligently and acquire during your lifetime. Because if you get at least a 70% disability rating from the VA, then when the time comes to go into assisted living or nursing home, and you go into either a VA community living center or a VA contracted nursing home, Veterans Benefit Administration doesn't go after your assets. So that's where
Well, that's
it
good.
might not be of utter vital importance to you, especially if you're a young post 9/11 veteran, to think about filing that disability claim. But later in life, it can become vital in maintaining your assets, which you diligently worked hard for, and you earned it. So you like I
Got a little freezing going.
you raised your right hand. Um, you signed on a dotted line and you wrote this government a blank check.
Hey, John, I'm not sure if you're losing me, but I seem to be losing you a little bit on the freezing end. I'm going to try something. I'll be right back. I may lose you for a minute, John, but I'll be back. Folks, it seems like we've lost John. We'll give him a few minutes to see if he can get back on. That's one of the unfortunate things of technology today. We all know the cell phones are only good as the towers that they connect to. And I can say one thing, in the state of Delaware, it's not all that good. So we'll give John a few more minutes to see if he comes back. In the meantime, one of the things I took from this conversation so far was if you're a veteran and you served in any of those countries that he had mentioned, there's no downside for you to go onto the VA and file, just to have that information on file in the event that, later on it turns out that you become, what's the word I'm looking for, qualified for those benefits. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I went ahead and went through the process, is I may not qualify today, but at some point I may. And just for me, I just think that it's a question of the VA's got to answer the question that, did I serve by serving 4 months in the military at this? Oh, I think John's coming back. So hold on a second.
Technology doesn't want to be my friend today.
No, the problem, especially in Delaware, is I don't think they have enough cell towers, because I get horrible cell phone reception.
Yeah.
So on a side note, because we like to go off on tangents on this show. When I first moved out here, I had AT&T and I had bad reception. So when my contract ended, I went with Mint Mobile, and the reception was about the same. But Mint Mobile calls me about a month into it to see how things were going. I said, well, the bad news is you suck as bad as AT&T. I don't think it's your fault. I think it's the tower. But the good news is you suck at $50 a month. They sucked at $200 a month.
Yeah. So where we left off. So later in life, it can become vitally important for you to have that disability rating and also to be enrolled into the VA healthcare system, because then you can also connect if you have already a primary care through the VA. You can connect with a social worker that can help with that whole the assisted living or either home-based home care, uh, things like that, and take advantage of your VA healthcare to help you out in those situations. Um, Especially when we talk about it. I had the unfortunate event about 2 years ago to meet a Vietnam veteran that was absolutely suffering from effects of Agent Orange cancer side, and between never enrolled into the VA healthcare system, or filed a VA disability rating, and because of the cancer related to Agent Orange, they were unfortunately looking at possibly foreclosing on their home because of the medical cost. If he had just simply filed a disability claim and been enrolled into the VA healthcare system, it could have helped offset that, and their house wouldn't have been in jeopardy.
That's a
So
shame.
it's just enough. Yes, that's where I say, even if you're post 9/11 and in your early 20s, do yourself a favor and at least roll into the VA healthcare system. We've made 365-degree turn from the Vietnam era VA hospitals. It is totally modernized and up to the standard of civilian healthcare on the outside. So why not take advantage of it? Um, like I said, you can keep yourself up to date. Go once a year, get yourself a physical, and keep yourself up to date. Or you can use it as much as you wish in conjunction with any other health insurance that you have. So, and then
So
when that unfortunate,
there's no downside to applying at this point.
yeah, there's no downside. I So there's really no downside to it other than you have to make the effort to go get a physical once a year and keep yourself up to date. You have to do that with your civilian healthcare provider on the outside. So why not also do it on the VA side? And it gives you that options: expensive CAT scans, MRIs, other specialty clinics. Um, with your civilian health insurance, you may have an outrageous copay. If it's a VA related injury or disease and you're being seen by the VA for it, you don't have a copay at all. So why not utilize that to your advantage to put a little bit more money back into your pocketbook?
You I currently have Medicare Advantage program because when I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, I filed with Social Security for disability, and once I was granted a disability rating, after 2 years, of course, they give you the opportunity to go on Medicare. So at one point, I'm still insured under my wife's plan. She was a school teacher, but when she retired, I went on the Medicaid Advantage. And I'll tell you, it's a great program because it's called an honors PPO for people that served. And it's amazing what they do for us.
Yeah, yeah. And so getting into the disability rating also, if eventually if you get up to 60% and you're under the age of 65 and certain medical conditions prevent you from seeking gainful employment, you can always file for unemployability based on your medical conditions from your disability rating that prevents you from being gainfully employed. So and to be paid at the 100% disability rate. So that gives you that other option there if you're under the age of 65 or under the age of 62 and not quite able to apply for VA disability. Social Security disability or receive your regular Social Security. So it gives you that option also.
So let's say that you suffer from a condition that is now presumptive, and you were in one of those countries. 4 or 5 years later, you start the process. Do they backdate your benefits if they find in your favor, or do the benefits start from the day that you actually applied?
So the benefits start from what we call the date of intent to file. The only exception to that is if you previously fired last year under the PACT Act. If you
Okay.
fired previously before, 10 August, 12 August, somewhere in there, 13 August of 2023, you can get back paid till August of 2022. Those individuals should be coming up on their 365 days. When you do an intent to file, you have 365 days to submit all medical evidence and complete the process, including the compensation and pension exams. So, no, unfortunately, if you file 5 years from now, you're going to get paid from that date that you do the intent to file on that disability rating. That's another reason why not just go, if you have the medical evidence and the evidence is there, go ahead and file that disability claim.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit time consuming, but in the end, it's more beneficial to you out there. So, and then for those individuals, we start talking about survivor benefits to come into play. If you have a VA disability rating, if you're at 100% after 10 years, it does not matter if you die from a VA disability injury or disease. That survivor benefit can be paid out to your surviving spouse.
That's
If you're
cool.
if you're under the 100%, then it has to be related to your VA disability or injury in order for that survivor benefit to play out. So another vital importance, especially for my Vietnam veterans that have never filed a claim, or too proud, or for some reason are too stubborn to file the claim. You don't have to do it on your behalf or benefit. Do it for that significant other that's there standing beside you, and take care of their future and make sure they're secure.
Yeah. Never
Like
be
I
so
said,
proud that you don't take care of your family.
yeah, you, you were either drafted and didn't have a choice, or you signed on a dotted line and wrote that blank check and were exposed to something that you didn't ask to be exposed to.
Yeah. Well, someone once asked me if I had any regrets, and I go, I really don't, because first of all, I don't know if my time in the service was the Parkinson's a result of that. But for me, I got the GI Bill. If it wasn't for the GI Bill, I probably wouldn't have gone to college. I didn't go to college. I wouldn't have been on the path that I am today. And I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. My life would have been totally different. So I can't have any regrets thinking maybe this happened in the summer of 1977. Just accept it, and just because it could be anything. And but I'm glad that I pursued this action again, just to have it in the paperwork in. So I don't know if you can answer this question, but if someone feels that they may be qualified, is that a process they can do themselves, or should they try to reach out for legal help?
So you should always reach out to what we call a veteran service officer.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a veteran service officer for the American Legion, VFW, Disabled American Veterans Organizations. Also, the Office of Veteran Services for the state of Delaware has VSOs that work on your behalf. They are very, very knowledgeable veteran service officers. Or you can file directly with the Veterans Benefit Administration right out of the Wilmington office, down below the Wilmington VA Medical Center. So you have several options. Don't recommend you filing directly online. It is not a hard process. So if you're computer savvy and you have the medical evidence readily available, or the information for your private doctors readily available, by all means, you can file online by yourself. I have actually successfully done it once for one condition.
Okay.
The rest of it, and I was successful. The rest of the time, I used either directly Veterans Benefit Administration or a Veterans Service Officer to help me on my behalf.
So are you employed actually by the VA or a third party?
So I am actually employed by the VA.
Oh,
I am a
that's great.
VA employee. Yep.
So you've got somebody in your case that's a advocate for the veterans who's actually working within the system. That's great.
Yeah, so we have Veterans Benefit Administration has what we call legal representatives. They're the ones that do your intent to file directly with the Veterans Benefit Administration. So, and you can always make an appointment with them and file that way. Or you can see the difference with a Veterans Service Officer, like with the Delaware Office of Veteran Services. they're able to take a little bit more time. And actually, if you have your physical military record or a copy of it, they can actually go through it and maybe and help to your advantage to see what medical conditions or injuries that you might have overlooked that they can file for on your behalf. So that's where a veteran service officer is always a good option. They're definitely knowledgeable in the process and can help assist you just a little bit more. That's something you may miss because when I did it on my behalf of my own, that's when I missed a few things. So, and then I went back and filed with a VSO, and then that's when my upgrades were able to take effect because I missed a few things, and I actually missed a whole injury to my right knee when I was on active duty and forgot about it, and they found it in my medical record.
No. When did you serve, and what branch?
So I'm retired Army.
Good.
I did I
Go
did
on.
26 years. I was first a finance specialist. Wanted to be an MP, but MP Corps at the time I went in had a height requirement. And they said, yeah, they said I was not
May I ask,
tall enough.
what year did you join?
I joined in January 1, 1989.
Okay, so so you're a little younger than me. I was 77.
Yeah,
But
went in.
typical Army. I was supposed to go to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for basic training, and then Fort McClellan for my MOS training. But the day I'm supposed to fly there, my change of orders, they did the OSET, the one station unit training, and
Yeah,
they sent me to Fort McCollum. And so I fly into everything's delayed for that day. I fly into the Atlanta airport. Whatever shuttle bus system they had between the two just wasn't running that night. So my first night in the Army, I had Pizza Hut and I stayed at the Hilton. I thought that was good. I thought this is going to be great. And then I show up in basic training and it wasn't Pizza Hut and the Hilton any longer.
no, one Pizza Hut and all glorious Hilton, was it? Yeah.
I do remember because I wanted to go on to bomb dog. I was a security dog handler. I wanted to go to bomb dog school. And the reenlistment recruiter was like, well, if you sign up for 6 years, we'll try to get you to school. And I remember saying something to the effect that I have the GI Bill. So either I'm going to college or I'm getting to school guaranteed. It's up to you. Which direction should I go? And to his benefit, he told me go to college because I thought that was very interesting. He didn't actually say I can't promise you to school. He just said go to college.
Huh. Yeah.
But even in hindsight, I love my 3 years in the Army. It was like I love the discipline, the camaraderie. You see somebody in the uniform, and you immediately are brothers or sisters.
Oh, absolutely. That's with being a veteran outreach specialist. That's one of my the greatest passions I have now. No longer helping the veteran that's serving, but also helping the veteran that has previously served and now of all ages to help them understand the benefits that are available to them that they may not know about. And I unfortunately I meet them almost on a daily basis that don't know which benefits are available to them and how they can utilize them to best help them, just not now in life, but in the future in life. So
Let's say I'm a veteran, and I think I may have a claim. How do I start? Do I Google VA disability, or what would be the simplest way to try to start the process?
yeah, so the best way is to just go va.gov, look under disability claims. You can pull up, it explains the disability filing process. You can search for a qualified, what we call a certified veteran service officer within your local community. You can look, it gives you the locations. You can also file directly online with Veterans Benefit Administration if you so choose. You can call for an appointment to Veterans Benefit Administration and set up an appointment to speak directly with a legal representative and file directly with Veterans Benefit Administration. So yeah, the information's there, explains the whole process. Basically, the process works. You do what we call an intent to file. That intent to file is your intent to file a claim with the Veterans Benefit Administration for an injury or disease that occurred while you were on active duty, or if you were National Guard and Reserves, it occurred either while you were on drill weekend or your 2-week annual training, or unless you were deployed. And then once it goes in, you submit the evidence. You have up to 1 year to submit any medical evidence on your behalf. If it's a civilian provider, all you have to do is list that civilian provider's office information and contact information, and VBA will go directly out to them and request your medical information from them. So you do not have to do anything unless you have the records. You don't have to really gather anything. All you have to do is that intent to file, and you have up to a
Awesome.
year. So
So,
then once VBA gathers the information and verifies, yes, you were in this location at this time frame, and yes, you were on active duty, they now if there is not enough significant medical evidence, they schedule what we call a compensation and pension exam, normally with a VBA contracted doctor on the outside.
well,
So
I just had that with a psychiatrist and a doc. What I found interesting was the doctor I went to. He didn't know really anything about Parkinson's. I had to give him a quick 5 minute overview of what Parkinson's was, but he was just doing it. He said, "Well, I'm not really here to make a diagnosis. I just got a checklist that I got to follow."
Yeah, they have a certain checklist. Used to be the old QTB forms that VBA used to have. It's still the same process. They have a checklist that they go off of. They have VBA sends them information on your medical record, what's
Mhm.
existing on what you have, and they go through the process of examining it. A lot of it you want to be as true for as possible.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
don't want to over exaggerate. Just like if it's like, let's say it's knee pain, knee joints, or arthritis in a knee, arthritis in one of the joints. You want to be truthful that you used to be able to walk 4 miles a day. You can only walk 1 mile a day, or you can no longer walk up steps or get down steps effectively. Some days it hurts. Joints are always range of motion, so
Right.
you always want to take that in consideration. You want to go to where it hurts, and then you can always tell that provider that's where it hurts. Um, but a lot of times, veterans do themselves an injustice, and like when we were on active duty, when the first sergeant asked you, "Good morning, soldier," and you said, "Good morning, first sergeant," he says, "How are you?" "Oh, I'm wonderful. Let's go." Nothing hurts. Nothing's. It's all great and good. Come find out later in life, pain means trouble. So
Yeah.
when you're that young enlisted soldier, they tell you pain is wonderful. No, come to find out, pain means something's
No,
wrong.
no pain, no gain just isn't the right
Yeah,
answer.
that pain, no gain. Yeah, yeah. What a statement. So after the CNP exam, it can be up to 100 miles away. Just keep that. Just keep that notion that it can be up to 100 miles away, but they do pay you for mileage. So
What also surprised me, the guy at the end says, "What's your address? Where'd you come from?" I gave him my address. So why? He goes, "We pay you whatever the standard rate per mile is."
yeah, so they
So
they pay the standard rate.
when I
Standard.
calculated what that was, I just took my wife's lunch because she had gone with me. I said, "The VA just at a minimum, the VA bought us lunch, sweetheart. Let's have a nice
Yeah,
lunch."
yeah, yeah. They are VBA contracted doctors. So one is very common is Veteran Evaluation Services. They utilize
Oh,
they utilize rental office space where they can. So the
right.
locations sometimes may be in the strangest of locations or unfamiliar locations. So keep that in mind. But they mostly they work on your behalf. Um, to
Oh, I can
to
say that
whole process.
I was beyond impressed by the way they worked, their communication level. I jokingly said to them, "I have more communication with you in the last couple of weeks than I had with the VA in the last 5 years."
Yeah, yeah. So then once you've done the CMP exams for that condition, then it goes back to the rater. The rater gathers the information, and then it goes to the senior rater. The senior rater, according to 38 CFR on that condition, what the rating percentage should be, because the documented medical evidence, the senior rater then puts out what the disability rating is, and then you'll receive a letter from Veterans Benefit Administration assigning that disability rating.
So
So
I
that,
looked at that. It's like a grid. If this is your status, you're married, you're not married, you have children, you don't have children, you're ranked at this percent. This is what your monthly income would be.
yep. So according from 0 to 100%, depending on whether you're married with a spouse, not married with a spouse, have additional dependents not that are dependent upon you. That also includes parents if they're dependent on your support. You can be paid additional. So and then for some of those, if it's traumatic brain injury, loss of an organ, then we can talk about what we call special monthly compensations that can be in addition to the disability rating. So it overall, the letter will explain it, tell you what your overall disability rating is and what that payment is. And then Veterans Benefit Administration also does you a favor. On the very last page, they tell you in order for that condition to go, let's say, from 10% to 20%, these are the conditions that need to be present in order for it to be at 20%. So
Hmm.
you can use that to your advantage in the future whenever that condition gets worse, to help you file what we call an upgrade to that condition, which you
Okay.
can do at any time. As long as you have the medical evidence that that condition has gotten worse, by all means, file for an upgrade. The
And then
misnomer,
medical
the,
evidence could come from a private doctor, not necessarily a VA doctor.
so not necessarily VA doctor, but I always say, why not get seen by the VA doctor for that condition? Because that keeps it right in the VA system, right
Absolutely.
there, right there. That conditioning is not getting any better. It is not stabilized, and
Yeah.
that you're seeking treatment for it. One of the one of the most disservices we could is file that disability claim and then never ever follow up or get seen for it or have new medical evidence on it that we're taking care of that condition. That's what Veterans Benefit Administration does not want to see. That's when they have to unfortunately do what they call a downgrade or
Oh,
downgrade
yeah.
that condition because you're not benefiting yourself and taking care of it. So why not, if you have a disability rating, why not join VA healthcare and get seen for it? You keep if you like your civilian doctor, then by all means you can see the civilian doctor too. But why not keep the medical evidence there?
And you can get prescriptions through that as well.
Yep. And then if you get a disability rating, you can get your prescriptions through the mail-in pharmacy right with the main VA hospital. So I get mine through Wilmington VA Hospital instead of paying the copay for my prescriptions through TRICARE. All of my About 99% of all my prescriptions are related to my VA injury or diseases. So why not take advantage of it and have no copay?
Oh, so they just charge you those no copay. So in essence, the medication is free.
Yep. So if you get
Oh,
if
wow.
it's Yep. So if it's VA disability rated, you could possibly not have a copay. If you get at 50% disability rating, there's absolutely no copay on medications.
Yeah, because one of the things I hear about when we talk to this is with Parkinson's patients. There's certain Parkinson's medications that are extremely expensive, and of course, private insurance doesn't want to pay for that, and there's not a generic yet. So they find themselves in a position where they're spending thousands of dollars on their medication.
Yeah. The prime example is if you're a Vietnam veteran and you're diagnosed with Parkinson's due to Agent Orange and you never filed that disability claim. There, right there, it's to your advantage to file because Parkinson's for Vietnam under Agent Orange is a presumptive. So why not? And then there's expensive drugs you could possibly get through the VA medical system instead of paying out of pocket.
Yeah, I know in my case, I take 4 specific to Parkinson's itself, and 2 because of the I take like for depression, because Parkinson's has an impact on the just not only on physical but cognitive as well.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember once talking to my psychiatrist. One of the things they asked with me is suddenly I became very emotional. I was never my family, like we're not a family of criers, but once the Parkinson's was starting to go, I started getting a little more emotional. and she put me on a drug that was called a mood enhancer. And I Googled it, and it was something for, like, they used to give it for people that are bipolar or has epilepsy. And I'm like, I'm not taking this drug. And the response was, I give you such a low dosage that I'm even comfortable giving it to pregnant women. And because I try to find humor in life because it makes life better, I reply back saying, thank you. Should I ever become pregnant, I know I can continue taking this medication.
Well, if that happens, you're going to become a very wealthy gentleman.
Yeah, I think so. At least I'm going to make it to the late night TV.
or,
Jimmy Kimmel
or,
will interview me.
or be highly scientifically studied. I don't know which.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can do the circuit and just walk and get paid to talk to people about my
There you go.
pregnancy.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
But
so that's where I tell you, look into it if you're especially if you're post 9/11 veteran or a younger veteran out there that's getting out of the service, and you don't have any other options as far as healthcare side because you don't have a civilian job. VA healthcare is for you to fill that gap.
yes.
And like I say, hopefully you continue to keep it and utilize it throughout your life. It's never going to go away. It's not going to go away. So why not utilize it? Especially the younger veterans that are on the edge or may not think about it, that are did their 4 years commitment in the service and are getting out and looking to the civilian future. It'll help fill that gap.
I remember looking at my Social Security statements, and I go back to when I joined the Army. Like the first full year, I think I made $4,500. Now, granted, they give you a uniform allowance, you live in the barracks, and they feed you. But when you look at what the veterans are doing for their country and the amount of income that they got paid for that, it's just sad. And I think it's wrong. So if like you said, you raised your right hand, I think our country has an obligation, if you raise your right hand, to make sure that no matter what happens, they take care of you.
Oh, absolutely. It's like I said, it's earned. It's not given. It's earned.
Well, I remember in basic training, since we were the first group to do the one station unit training, but I think I did more push-ups than anybody in basic because I'm a bit of a smartass. And we went to the drill sergeant one day, said, drill sergeant, you need to be nicer to us because everything we do, we set a record. I goes, you got to explain this one to me. He goes, well, we're the first one to go through it. So whatever we do, there's no comparison. We set the record. Now, the next group, Alpha Bravo Company, Charlie Company, they may beat us and then they take the record, but everything we've done is setting the record. I think that was 100 push-ups.
Yeah, push-ups was always my weakest.
Yeah, drop and give me fill in the blank.
Yeah, push-ups was all I could never, no matter how hard I trained or how long I trained, I could never max my push-ups. Always came close.
I tried doing a pull-up the other day, and my God, I couldn't get 3 inches off the ground. It was humbling.
I was Flash Gordon on a run. I always maxed my run.
Oops, think we're having some of those technical issues again.
Yep, there we go. Yep. Yeah, high speed technical issues.
I think the last time I ran, I had a drill sergeant yelling at me. That was a long, long time ago.
Well, my running days are over. So 26 years of the Army telling me to run have done my knee joints and hips and ankles in. So
wow.
Yeah, I wish I still could enjoy it, but it's too painful now. It is. So yeah.
Do you ever try cycling?
I do cycling and I walk.
Yeah, same. I love run. I say when I ride my bike, I don't have Parkinson's.
Yeah.
So do you remember as a kid when you ride your bike, you want to take your hands off the steering, up the handlebars? There are times I'm like, I feel like I just want to take my hands off, and I'm evolving as a human being. I know that's stupid, but I used to ride everywhere with no hands.
Yeah. I went over the handlebars quite a few times because that was all.
I think so. I was a freshman in high school, so it had to be like 1972-ish. Evel Knievel was on Friday night. So Saturday morning, we build a ramp, of course, because we're stupid. And I'm like the first idiot to go up the ramp, and I go up, and gravity takes hold, and I go down. and ended up breaking my collarbone.
Oh wow. Yes. About the same time frame. I remember Evil Knievel building the makeshift wooden ramp out in the middle of the road in the development.
Yep, that's what we did, and we lived at the base of a little hill, which gave me all that extra. But I was always the first one. Like I think when I was a kid, I was just stupid, dumb and stupid. Now I'm just stupid.
Yeah. Love picking out the stone and the pebbles in the forearm. Yeah,
Did you
that was
have
always,
the Schwinn Stingray bike with the banana seat and the sissy bar?
I did not. I always never had the pleasure.
Oh God, that was the cool bike to ride when you were a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know. Can't remember what I had. My next door neighbor though had the first BMX mongoose bike. It was
Ooh,
chrome. It was fully chromed, and I love and like purple blue peg colors and foot peg colors, and it was absolutely. I wanted a silver mongoose like him in the worst way, and never got that either.
oh wow. Yeah,
So,
I bought a road bike now, and I enjoy riding. I tried doing, this was maybe in April, doing a 30-mile ride for a fundraiser. And I like to say in Delaware, the only hills we have are called speed bumps.
that's about it.
But what we lack in elevation, we make up in wind. I swear, for 20 miles, every direction I went, the wind seemed to follow me, and I was battling the wind the whole time.
Oh
So
yeah.
after about 20 minutes or 20 miles, I said, hell, I'm just going home. This wind is too hard. I mean, I already contributed my money for the ride, so it wasn't like I'm making any extra money, but it just really, there's something about riding your bike that for me is just I'm outside. I'm like free. It's like freedom.
Yeah, it frees up your mind.
Yeah.
So the my normal 4 mile, 4.5 mile walks do the same thing. Normally take the standard poodle with me, and he goes gets my walk in and gets his walk in.
Yeah.
I talk to him, and he tries his hardest to talk back to me, but
Well, as a dog handler, I of course learned how to train dogs. I used to do a lot of hand signals for the dog. So
yeah.
we used to live on the second floor of a condominium, and the dog would be down on the first level with my daughter. And I would just look at the dog and say, would not even say, I'd just do the hand signals. And my daughter would go, "Stop that, Dad." Oh, I miss those dogs. That was, when I was in Korea with the dog, whenever we had to go out on maneuvers, we of course bring the dogs, and rather than have the dogs sleep in the crates, they slept in our tents, and nobody messed with us. Nobody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I was a senior MP, I loved my canine handlers.
Well,
when when they said, "Son Richter, you got to come. We got a good one," I always said, "I'm on my way." So,
as I
yeah,
tried to explain to somebody, especially because this picture really kind of shows it, how the dog is latched onto my arm. Once that dog bites, you're not taking that. He's not coming off. So we would take our hand, we'd run it down the leash, and go underneath his neck or her neck, his or her, and had to literally choke the dog out, because that dog wasn't going to let go once it grabbed hold of something.
yeah, yeah. Once they grab hold until they're given that command to release, they're
Yeah.
not releasing.
I remember one training exercise, the dog was on her hindquarters, and she let go from it without even touching down. She kind of came up a little bit, and she caught me right on the lip. So I'm home for Christmas, and I had the Uncle Bob, who was ex-Navy, salty old Navy guy, right off Hollywood. And, he goes, "What happened to you?" I said, "Some bitch bit me in the mouth." He wanted to know what kind of women I was dating in basic training.
Ah, ah,
I explained them with the female dog thing, but I think for anybody, and this is on a side note, suffering from anything, I find that humor makes everything so much better.
humor does. It does.
I say I'm a lightning rod for stupidity, because if I can do something stupid and get you to laugh, then we're both having a good time.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That is true.
Well, John, I just want to say, I know you've been sitting in that car for about an hour now. I just want to say, I appreciate your being on with us as well, and especially the information. my biggest takeaway from this is there is no downside to file a claim with the VA. Absolutely none.
Oh yeah, absolutely no downside whatever.
And
That
the
I can
resources
see
are there.
for anyone in a while not to file that disability claim, and that goes definitely for the younger soldiers. I mean, even if you've been in 4 years and you may think you don't have something that qualifies, you may be wrong. Especially if you're Air Force and you're on the flight line, exposed to the noise from the aircraft, you definitely may qualify for a hearing disability rating. So,
We used to say the
no,
Air Force,
like,
they sleep in their own beds.
yeah, yeah. At least they got to sleep in their own beds. So, or they
Yeah,
had
also,
individual rooms.
one of the best recruiters I ever met was my son. On paper would have been a great. He would have. He was a candidate. You know, captain lacrosse team, captain cross country, state, boy, Eagle Scout, straight A's, the whole 9 yards. And we went to an Air Force recruiting night for the academy. And this guy was great. He goes, let me explain how this happens. You apply, you get accepted, you graduate, you get 2 weeks off, and I own your ass for 9 years. There's all these like 17-year-olds in the room. Like, to them, 9 years is half their life. And he goes, if you don't want to do that, then you should. My son looked at his dad, 9 years, and we got up and left.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how fast 9 years goes.
Well, my friend whose son is the same age as my son, he went to Naval Academy, then went to Marine Corps, and then he's a helicopter pilot. And I don't know about, maybe last football season at the Ravens Stadium, there was 3 or 4 Marine helicopters that buzzed the stadium, and he was the lead pilot, which was very, very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, again, I just want to say thank you. And, the resources are out there. As John said, just Google va.gov or just start a conversation. And there is zero downside to this.
Yep, zero downside. And like I said, you may not think it's significant now, but later in life, when a unfortunate comes and you have to start looking into either home-based healthcare, assisted living, or nursing home, then the unfortunate family members or a significant other start looking and learning about VA benefits when it becomes a rush for you to get the disability claim in or get enrolled into the VA healthcare system. So that's why I say it's of vital importance. If you meet all the eligibility requirements, why not go ahead and do it?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, John, again, thank you for your time, and thank you for doing it in your car. I noticed the windows are up, so it's probably a little hot in there.
Oh no, I got the AC on.
Okay, cool. Well, have a great day, sir.
Oh, you
Appreciate your
too.
time.
And thanks for having me on, Tom.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You
I'll
too.
send you a copy. I'll send you a link to this as well.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
You too.